Hello, this is Dr. Jimmy again. Unfortunately, I haven't had the time or the opportunity to, really, more than time, opportunity, to make videos for a while, and so unfortunately I haven't been able to continue my Horror Nights history for Carnival of Carnage from 2007. Hopefully I'll be able to take care of that in the near future. I don't know when I'll get back to that, but I wanted to make a quick video now while I have a little bit of time, just a little bit, to talk a little bit about this year's event of Halloween Horror Nights 21 and some of my impressions of having attended the event now for 7 nights. I was unable to attend the opening weekend because I was out of town, and last Friday, due to circumstances beyond my control, I was unable to attend on that evening either. So out of the 10 nights that the event has run so far, I've only managed to attend 7 nights. Basically one whole week of Halloween Horror Nights, if you think about it that way. And so I feel I can say a few things about the houses and zones and shows and my impressions of them in this brief, hopefully within 15 minutes, because I don't think I want to make a second video if I can. So far I like the event quite a bit. I'm impressed with Halloween Horror Nights 21 quite a bit. I do have some reservations about some things. The one thing that really disturbs me a little bit is the lack of activity on the streets. We have the 6 scare zones, 7 scare zones if you count the fact that one of the scare zones is actually expanded to other parts of the park and then moves back to where it goes, which is Luck Run Out. We have sort of a quasi chainsaw drill team now, which as the night wears on starts to move from Plaza of the Stars and the entrance area and eventually makes its way back over toward Sting Alley, where it ends up and becomes a part of that larger scare zone, which is interesting. So I guess that was the Lucy that we heard about. Apparently that's actually Sting Alley. Unusual. But anyway, the fact is there's wide open empty spaces where we have had scare zones in the past. Now part of that is because of room for death drums, and I understand that, but at the same time it seems weird to see so much empty space. The scare zones themselves seem to have shrunk quite a bit, and although I like most of the scare zones, it's like, geez, you know, we have so little, you know, the amazing shrinking scare zone factor continues, and hopefully that will be reverse itself in the future. I know there's a lot of reasons for that, budget and other things. With the economy the way it is, the budget for Halloween Horror Night gets cut. I understand the budget this year is continuing to be cut, and they may have to make cuts in personnel, which is not good. They may be letting people go, apparently, is what I've heard rumors about that, and I hope that doesn't happen to many of the fine people who are performing this year. Oh well, we'll see as time goes on. We're not quite halfway through the event. Halfway will be about midpoint of Saturday, which would be, you know, there'll be 12.5 days, and the remaining 12.5 days after that, to the 25th night of Halloween itself. We'll see. Hopefully I get to attend as many as possible of the remaining nights. This year the most I can expect is 22 nights, since I've missed 3 nights already. I don't know if I'll get to 22 nights, but we'll do our best. I think the most I ever attended in the past was something like 14 nights last year, which was, of course, when there were 10 nights I didn't go last year. We'll see what happens this year, if I can manage to attend as much as possible. Alright, now about the houses. People keep asking me, what's your favorite house? And I still haven't decided what my favorite house is. I can tell you it's not The Thing. I like The Thing, and don't get me wrong, I like all the houses this year. I think they're all great houses, and I love The Thing, but The Thing is probably my least favorite house, and I don't think it's anything to do with the house so much as just my own personal, something about it doesn't appeal to me as much as the others, and I think it's just a personal thing. It's nothing to do with the quality. They certainly do a good job of the scares. A lot of the scares, though, timing factor is involved, and if everything is working properly, a couple of times things weren't there. But, you know, there was one really nifty scare involving a rather deformed and hideous-looking thing, kind of almost erotic way it moves at you. It's kind of weird, but it was missing once or twice, and it's back now. And they also rely on a lot of animatronic type of effects in several of the scenes that can go wrong, and when they go wrong, it leaves a big empty thing in that area. No pun intended. But when it's good and you get all the scares, it's quite fun. Of course, some people don't like all the strobe lighting. It can cause problems if you have health issues, or I have a good friend who doesn't have any seizures or anything, but she has a headache from the strobe lights. So she can't even go through the thing because it gives her a terrible headache just going through there. But at the same time, I do find it a nice house, a good house actually, and I'm looking forward to seeing the movie. Although I feel a lot of the movie has been spoiled by going through the thing. Although technically, that most of them are going to die because there were no survivors when the first movie came out. There were no survivors left except for the people in the helicopter who were shooting at the dog, and then they died too when they were shot by the people from the first movie. So that they're all doomed. Oh well. But it's a neat scene. The suicide is one of the better scenes, I think. It's rather effective when you catch that. Very chilling, actually. No pun intended. Other houses, of course, one of my favorite houses is it's a contender for my favorite house is the Winter's Night, The Haunting of Hawthorne Cemetery. Something about that house reminds me of the new queue area for the Haunted Mansion at Walt Disney World. In fact, a lot of houses remind me of things at Disney World. I don't know if that was intentional or not, if it was a bit of poking the nose of the mouse, which I always kind of dig. Some people, oh, that's not very original, but no, actually, you can't say it's not original. It's a very original year, except for The Thing, which is based on a movie. I thought that house is very well done, the blue light thing, and all the characters are quite wonderful. I love the homage to the Weeping Angels from Doctor Who, being a big Doctor Who geek. So I like, and several of the other scares are very well done. I've been nailed several times by scare actors in that house. And just last night I saw something new. At the end there's these sort of death-like figures, and blue lights appeared on their foreheads, which I had never seen before. So that either they didn't have it working in the past, or they just added that in. But it's very effective. I like that house quite a bit. Sometimes I stop and try to read the headstones, and there's funny things like did you notice, if you happen to notice, there's headstones that contain the names of the Brady Bunch, and of course people from A&D and other things. You can, little inside jokes. If you stop and bother to read a headstone, you're likely to set yourself up for a scare, though, because I stopped to look at a headstone and then there was a character right in my face when I turned around. It's like, oh geez. So it's a good, I like it. The cast is really doing a good job in that one too, both casts, so I like that house. Nightingale's Blood Prey, the other soundstage house, I also like that quite a bit. I like the whole idea of it. I think the Nightingales are going to be a franchise like the Body Collectors, from what I hear, and they can be brought back in many different scenarios other than the First World War. Now there's been some issues about PTSD with veterans, and not to go open that can of worms, but I think no World War I veterans should go in that house. It would disturb them too much. They might have a heart attack or something. And anyway, but if they're even able to go in the house and walk through it, they probably have to be wheeled through in a wheelchair and an iron lung, as any of those people who are still alive are in their over 100 years old. So it's yeah. If there are any living World War I veterans to go through the house, but they shouldn't do it. Okay, so what do we have here? We have, as Mr. Chow says, the effects will kill old people and frighten children. Well, what are children doing here anyway? It's Halloween Horror Nights. Take them to Fun Spot. It's huge. Alright, enough of that. I like that one. There's one thing, a little niggling thing that still sets me, and I've posted about it on the forums, and kind of in an angry way, and I apologize for the terse tone of some of that. I don't mean anything to the cast, but there's a really nifty effect that I've had described to me, which involves a soldier being attacked by a nightingale in a certain way. It's quite gory and impressive, and I've missed it every freaking time I've gone through the house. I've gone through the house at least 11 times. And I haven't seen the damn effect because it always happens after I leave the room, and sometimes I try to linger, but then Ops wants you to move, and even that, the characters even say, move, move, go along, and it's like, well, what can I do? I can't, I don't want to piss people off, and then I can't see it, and I haven't seen it yet, and hopefully this Thursday I'll finally see it, I hope. It just annoys me that I haven't seen that effect yet. But I still like the house quite a bit. Blood and Guts, HR Blood and Guts presents Holidays of Horror. I like that house quite a bit. Some people don't like it. Maybe they just don't like the comedy. It's much more brightly lit, and you can see a lot more of the gore and effects and details in each scene, and each holiday being twisted. I really like that. Again, we have something that reminds me of Disney. If you're old enough to remember Pleasure Island in the early 90s, there was a place called the Fireworks Factory. It was a restaurant there on Pleasure Island. They then closed that and they replaced it with the Wild Horse or whatever it was, and then something else after that. I don't even remember what they replaced Wild Horse with, but there was some kind of club, I forget what it was. Not very memorable. Fireworks Factory, though, the 4th of July scene in Blood and Guts looks exactly like the Fireworks Factory. I almost want to order some wings when I go in there. It's just, oh my God, order some chicken wings and look for the men's room with the two-way mirror. That was in that restaurant. I like the house. I like the Feaster Bunny, the bipartisan president in there with Lincoln and Washington. The Thanksgiving scene smells wonderful, and Pocahontas is like my great aunt, so it's cool to have relatives. I'm also a cousin of George Washington, so it's nice to have my relatives in the house as characters, being portrayed by these characters. Leprechauns and we are Santa's elves. I would expect Heat Miser to show up at the end because of clearly those little elves want to be dentists and they're really mad about that. So they got the chainsaw, the candy striped chainsaw. I love that. It's lots of fun in that house. Then we go to and they have chainsaws, a lot more chainsaws than we had been led to expect, and I'm glad of that. I sort of expected that they might bring in some more chainsaws due to the lack of chainsaws. Originally we thought they were only going to be in Souls and Steam. Souls and Steam, Into the Machine, really cool steampunk house. I like it. The effects are cool. The guy going into the machine is a neat scene, and also the whole thing reminds me of Epcot Center so much. So much of it is right out of different pavilions in the whole Walt Disney's utopian dream of the future, and they took that and twisted it and made it something really horrible. And that's also something that I feel is a bit of raping the mouse a little bit, and so I like that, and a lot of really good cast in that house as well. Now, Forsaken is beautiful sets. I mean, remember my April Fool's gag about, oh, there's going to be a fortress in that parade building that goes all the way to the sea. They actually came true in a way. It's not the Edgar Allan Poe. That's a different house. But amazingly enough, we have that. And last night I made sure to wish everybody a happy Columbus Day when I went through after midnight. There's the glowing-eyed sailors are quite good. There's been some contention about which cast is best on some of the forums where a moderator belongs in one of the casts, and not to get into controversy or anything, but to my thinking, both casts are quite fine, and it seemed to me A was better than B for a while, but now B has stepped up, and both casts are excellent. So let me just put that out there to deal with anyone who is on rumors and heard about the controversy, and it's like, forget that. I don't think different casts of a house should be in competition with each other anyway. After all, if you win House of the Year, it's the whole house, both casts that win it. And it's a contender for that, and it may be one of my favorite houses, actually, although some people don't like it. One thing I had wanted for this house was something that recreate the feeling of a rocking ship, and there is a room that kind of does that. It doesn't move, but it does put you off balance, and that's a very good scene. And the characters in there have gotten quite lively in recent days to make it better than it was when it opened up, apparently. The amount of detail in that house is spectacular, and I like the shout-outs I've been getting lately as well, so it's a good house. I like Forsaken. Let's see, I did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so there's two more houses, and those are the Sprung Tent houses. We have, of course, the wonderful house, the In-Between, which may be the best house this year. They took the old idea of the fun house of 3D glasses and made a house that was scary out of it, using those effects in a frightening way. And that's just fucking brilliant as far as I'm concerned. And the casts in that house are dynamite. They may win House of the Year. I love that. Then of course we have the Edgar Allan Poe thing, which I really dig, because that was I don't have time to go into the backstory about Edgar Allan Poe and me and why I really love Edgar Allan Poe. I'll do that in another video. which I don't have time for. But Nevermore, Madness of Poe is a good house too. Not as good as I had hoped it would be, but still it's pretty good. Very imaginative and well done. And it recreates a scene from Mask of the Red Death, again, fitting with my April Fool's gag. So I only had time to talk about houses. Next time I'll talk about scare zones and shows.